ready for takeoff.
We're cleared for takeoff.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time to take flight in your community and in your life. This is Audio Airstrike.
What's up, everybody? I'm Everett Hall-McNeill. This is Audio Airstrike, episode 173. Thank you for joining us. Last episode, I said that I would ask a certain question to couples, both married and not married. And that question is marriage about love, or is it just an economic contract? Now, I put this post on Facebook, and I had some people chime in that wanted to get on. And strangely enough, it was more not married couples than it was actual married couples. I'm going to still press through and find a married couple. But with that being said, I do want to introduce two guests. At this time, I have a couple with me. One of them is a good friend of mine, been a friend of mine for 10 years. We've done films together. We've also worked on some creative projects together in the past. I got Steven Quinn with his girlfriend, Kayla. Thank you guys for joining us, man. We definitely appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thank you for having us.
I'm going to just go right into it. I'm going to ask the question. Based on y'all's opinion, is marriage truly about love, or is it just an economic contract? Y'all can take it whichever way y'all want to take it. Floor is yours.
Me first? I don't know. The whole thing about marriage, in my opinion, is there's two sides to it. There's you want to spend the rest of your life with someone, but the whole reason it brings in the whole reason about how diamonds, they're just a shitty jewel, and the only reason why they're so important is because the whole marriage crap and all that. And then it's an economic thing. It's just a way of these companies getting money in a sense, but then it's also about, on the other hand, it's showing that you love somebody so much that you want to basically sign a contract to them for the rest of your life and show that you are willing and want to be with them for the rest of your life. So I don't think, because marriage is such a $1 million industry, like, the whole getting married and doing the honeymoons and stuff like that, and setting up the priests and the dresses and the rings and all that. It's so over the top expensive. It's unnecessary. If you really want to just show someone that you love them, I think, if you want to get married, that's great. Go to the courthouse, get the paperwork, but do something that's just small family, just the important people. You don't have to go thousands of dollars to show someone that you love them. I'd rather spend that money on going on a nice trip after getting married at a courthouse. You know what I mean? I think the diamond industry and, in the courthouse and everything like that is just trying to get more money out of you than what is necessary for marriage. But marriage in general, if you're willing to stick with someone and show someone that you're willing to, stick it with them through thick and thin, then I think it's, as long as you both agree, it's pretty important. But the amount that you spend on it, I think, is a whole different question or opinion. Kayla?
I think it really just depends on the people. I mean, yes, the $1 million industry with diamonds and things like that, but at the same time, there is people who do it because they want to show that they love each other. Even though it's just a piece of paper, there is the little ceremony, whether you do it in a different country, whether you do it in your own backyard. It's not necessarily all about the diamonds. Some people don't even exchange rings. Sometimes it's tattoos, or it's all about different cultures and things as that as well. Everyone's different with different weddings. Christians, atheists, things like that. Every wedding is different depending on your culture. So it can be economic, but at the same time, it also depends on everything involving the two people that are together.
Yeah, I can definitely get with that. From the perspective of people from my perspective, I've watched a lot of couples do different things. And one of the issues that I normally see is you can tell the couple never had a conversation sometimes about certain things when it comes to finances, because then it becomes a big argument later. And that's one of those things that have to be kind of set in stone or at least talked about, because if it's not talked about and your spouse doesn't know, well, he doesn't like this in terms of money and finances, or he doesn't like this in terms of his view of a wedding. And at the same time, he needs to know, okay, well, she doesn't like these certain things. So how can we compromise and kind of come in the middle where the financial situation of whatever we're dealing with kind of works in both of our favors? So a main problem is that question is never asked. And that puts a strain on things potentially, or leaves like a little crack in the door for cold air to come through, as I would put it. It's one of those things, man. It's really about communication.
I feel like as soon as you start getting serious with someone, one of the first conversations you should have with someone is finances. What's yours? What's mine? Are we splitting these? Like, when you start talking about finances, not even just talking about, getting up to the marriage and stuff like that. Like me and Kayla, we got to the point where, she'll get me this day and I'll get her next day kind of situation. And bills wise, we're starting to, we basically split everything. But if she don't have it one day, then I pick it up. And if I don't have it one day, which is more than likely, then she'll pick it up. And it's kind of this, that's one of the things that you should talk about early in the relationship when you guys start getting serious, is kind of like, because there's some people, like my brother, he just took out his girlfriend for their 1-year anniversary and he made her split the bill. That's just, how they do things. They, basically they took each other out for their 1-year anniversary because he believes that he shouldn't have to pay most of the time for the relationship, which, that's how he does it. And they discuss that, and that's how they feel about it. And me and Kayla, on the other hand, we usually try to split most things. But if I say I'm going to take her out to dinner or something like that, then that's me saying that I'm going to pay for the dinner that night and stuff like that. So I feel like that's something early in a relationship, if you want to make it work, that's something you should discuss, because finances is the big part of trying to work a relationship, make it work.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. Has being together been a benefit financially? Would you say that? Or it depends on the situation? Is it still like a struggle? Because some people think 2 incomes makes the situation better.
I guess and no at the same time. I mean, again, it depends on your bills, as to where my car payment might be 300 and some and his might be 100 and some.
But I joined child support in with that relationship, so that's an extra bill that she didn't have before, kind of thing.
But at the same time, we do always kind of sit down and kind of go through, okay, so this is what we'll have left over for this kind of thing, and this is rent, but these are the ones that we have separate, and we just kind of make it work. So together, it is definitely beneficial to have that other person, that other income, that's because you are supporting 2 people. And if you have a kid in the mix, you're supporting the 3 of you. So it definitely just boils down to each situation. But for us, I would say it's been beneficial.
Animals suck too. Don't get animals until you know your finances are strong.
So I ain't trying to penny pitch or pocket watch you. How much y'all think y'all spending on animals alone?
Animals?
Well,
just
we have
animals
some
and
pretty
maintenance
interesting animals. We have a rabbit and we have a bearded dragon lizard. So, I mean, on average, I would say maybe like a month?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, safe bet a month.
Kale and fresh vegetables and fruit.
Yeah, I would say about maybe 100 a month.
100 a month. I mean, once you got all the initial things like the cages and that's where most of your expenses go with pets, is
when you drop it at first.
Yeah, when you buy the pet, you need to get all the initial things. Then you can easily spend like, a couple $100. But then after that, just the maintenance alone is just, but you just it kind of goes wayside when you're thinking about everything else. You're like, oh, shoot, I got to go get kale for the lizard, or I got to go get bedding for the rabbit. It's.
But I'm definitely the cheap one, I guess, when it comes into the relationship. I'm always like, well, if we can get a better deal at this here, maybe we should go here and get that, or, save up until we get this. I'm always trying to find a better
She says, we need this, and I just go and grab the first one of that I see. And she's like, you could have got it cheaper over here, or this brand. I was like, well, you said this, so I just grabbed it.
Yeah, he's like, just, okay, you need this, I'm just getting it over with and doing it.
Yeah.
That's how he thinks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's like, I'm just getting this out the way, so it's just done. So I find it very good that you guys are already talking about finances. You guys are already kind of, in a way, you guys are kind of making that step that a lot of, I ain't trying to put married couples on blast, so don't be coming for me in the comments, that a lot of married couples sometimes don't do.
Well, her coming in to, I had a kid, so her coming into that kind of relationship, I kind of made sure that a lot of things were upfront right away. Finances, this is what I have to pay for this. This is what, money goes to. I have Skylar, she does dance. This is how much that pays for. I kind of made sure that she knew when she came into it, certain things were kind of, I guess, were important is the best way to put it.
Yeah. The whole total package thing that came with you was everything else.
Yeah. So I think we started that early because of having a kid and stepping into a relationship with somebody who had a kid already.
Yeah, and I think that was a very admirable thing for you to do, to kind of be that upfront. Because anytime I know people that have married people with, or been with people that have kids already. And that's something where, it's kind of like, okay, well, when's the right time to ask certain questions, when the right time to tell your child, it was like, hey, this is so-and-so, this is who I'm going to be with, and stuff like that. Like, when is the right time and stuff of that regard. So the fact that you was that upfront with it, did you find it like difficult at first? Like, to be like, oh, I don't know when is the right time to, to have, my girlfriend meet my daughter. Like, did you know, like...
I told her up front that I had a kid, and then I told her that it would take her a couple of times of me and her going out before she would actually meet my kid. And it took a couple weeks at least, if not a month or two.
Yeah.
Of us actually going out and meeting and hanging out and doing this and that before. And then when I finally had her meet my daughter, it was actually in a group setting, so it wasn't just me, her, and my daughter. So, I was very particular about how she was going to meet her, and, slowly introducing my daughter to her, because the last thing I want to do to my daughter is have her meet, somebody who might only be gone in the next month or two. And, I made sure that whoever was going to be around was going to stick around. And luckily, Kayla has been sticking around. I don't know why, because I'm an asshole.
Well, at least you're honest about it. The reason why we've been friends this long is you're honest about it. Do you see yourselves getting married down the line?
You want to answer that? You want me to answer that one? Who goes first?
Yeah, I see us if everything keeps, because anytime we have an issue, because I'm not saying that we're perfect. We have our arguments, we have our fights, we have our disagreements, but up till this point, every time we have a disagreement or a fight or something like that, we always, we might have our minutes where we're hot and walk away from each other and have to cool down, but we always basically sit down and discuss how we want to fix it and stuff like that. And instead of 9 times out of 10, these relationships nowadays, as soon as they get a bad fight, they just want to go their separate ways. And as long as you find someone that you're willing to actually sit down and talk with and, discuss why one or the other made you feel a certain way, or, how you might be able to adjust this situation, then the relationship's never going to work. You got to find someone that you're going to be willing to, sit down and make it work. Relationships ain't easy.
Yeah, especially where we live at. They change relationships like clothes. Yep. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, man. I think that it's very crucial when it comes to relationships, and like you said, it goes back to a lot of communication and stuff of that nature. I'm actually kind of very impressed with the answer that you gave to my first initial question, because I've been around people that hate the idea of marriage. They don't like it. They can't stand it. Some people I've seen use it for just strictly a financial gain, and then they, like their mind ain't even focused on what y'all focused on. They looking at it from a status of it's like a financial thing. Like, okay, we can put our accounts together and make this money and stick into this. But then at some point, it's like, how happy are you going to be?
I think it's like if you're with somebody for like 5 to 7 years or something like that, tax-wise, they just can join you anyways, even if you're not legally married or something like that. But no, I never, like, we've talked about marriage and stuff like that. And I think when we finally decide to do it, it would probably be just a backyard wedding kind of thing with close family and friends. We'd rather spend our money on a nice honeymoon and go to somewhere we'd never been together. You know what I mean? Instead of having this big, extravagant wedding and stuff like that. And just, it ain't worth it to have one day of because 9 times out of 10 during a wedding, the bride and groom are too busy doing everything else that they don't get to sit down and eat. They don't get to sit down and enjoy the alcohol. That usually they're just walking around, just saying hi and bye to everybody and doing this and doing that and taking pictures. And it's just, you don't actually you're spending all that money basically for everyone else to enjoy it, not yourself. So might as well spend less because fuck them.
Stevie gonna have like 5 people at his wedding. No, I've heard worse. You're fine. Back at it. Kayla, I wanted to ask you this. What was your example of what marriage looked like? Or did you have any examples of marriage looking like when you were growing up?
So I personally come from a home where my dad was gone before I was pretty much born. So I never really had that father and mother example of marriage. I had my grandparents, which they were high school sweethearts, the first person they had ever been with. So coming from, parents with no marriage to see, and then grandparents where their marriage was so perfect, it was really an example of how broken it can get to how perfect and sweet it can be. But, for me, like I said, I would love to get married someday, but it's not like I need it right now. Like I need all the diamonds and things like that. Like we had talked about like backyard wedding, because neither one of us like I said, I'm cheap. I don't want to drop that much money on something for one day. But personally, marriage for me was never really like focused on too much. It was either, super perfect together forever or divorce, not around, things like that. So I never really got the first-hand experience of seeing that all the time.
Okay, got you. Steven, what was your example of marriage or seeing marriage early on in life?
See, I'm kind of the opposite. My brothers, they married their high school sweethearts. My mom and dad were kind of high school sweethearts, and my grandparents were high school sweethearts. And then there's me. I'm, 30 and still not married yet. But it's kind of like, everything I've seen. I felt it was a while actually there that it took me to calm down and kind of realize that I'm living my own life and not everyone else's. Because when you see everyone, because all my best friends did the same thing, they married their high school sweethearts too. And then here I was, upper 20s and stuff like that, still not married. And it took me a minute to kind of comprehend to myself that everyone's living their own life and, just taking it slower myself. But yeah, it was kind of a little different, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those situations where like you had your experiences, you had your life lessons that you had to go through to know exactly what you wanted. Yeah. You know, me and you talked about them. I'm definitely not gonna say it on a public podcast. We ain't doing that. But
yeah, we talked about a lot.
Yeah, we talk off air. The thing about that is that you went through all those experiences. You easily could have said, "To hell with these females. I'm not dealing with this." You easily could have said that.
Yeah, I'm mental.
You easily could have said that. You easily could have been like, "I'm done. I just don't want to deal with it right now." Whatever. But you know, the fact that, you know, you found somebody that you felt comfortable around, you allowed to be yourself around, and you didn't have to worry about beating yourself up. And also going through the stuff you went through, it kind of gave you game on what you really wanted, what you really wanted to look for. And when it comes to the dating situation right now, in my personal opinion, it is chaotic out here. But then again, I'm basing that off of what I see on social media and what's within my 20-mile radius of what I see. It may be better in some other places. I don't know. However, I think it's very crucial for everybody to understand that you have to go through these things in order to learn what you're looking for in a relationship. When older folks are telling you, I stayed in the marriage, I was unhappy, but I did it to take care, like, understand the life lessons, understand that you get in game, even though the situation that you're hearing that story from, and you're hearing it going, man, this is like a horrible story, but peep game on what's going on. The same thing when you see somebody that's been dating for like 2 years or 3 years or something like that, and they haven't tied the knot yet. There's life lessons as to why it's been going on that long, good or bad. Good, bad, or ugly, or indifferent.
You can't necessarily measure love in time either, because there's people who were
definitely
been together for years and years and never got married and then broke up because they weren't happy from the get-go. And then there's people who been together for a couple months and get married and they're the happiest they've ever been.
I think it's a case-by-case basis, to be honest with you. Like, I can't, so for example, right, I can't give y'all the same, if y'all ask me, of course, I ain't just gonna butt into your freaking relationship. But if you ask me it for advice, let's say you just ask me for advice, I can't give you the same advice I give my other friends. It's a totally different case. Like, I can only give the advice that's particular to y'all's situation that will help. I can't give the same advice that I would give to my friend that's single. I can't give it the same advice to my friend that's married, because they married, it's a little different. They're just different stages. So it's one of those situations where it's like any advice or any situation where you see something that you can learn from, even if you're in the situation yourself, kind of learn from that and use that as kind of like a guide to figure out, okay, this is what I want in a spouse. This is what I don't want in a spouse. What was there like a moment y'all knew that this is like somebody that I want to be with for a long time? Or was it just with Lord knows, without...
I'll let Kayla talk about that one. I joke about this all the time to her, actually.
So we actually met through a mutual friend I was living with at the time. And at this time, he had just broken up out of a relationship he was in, and I was actually seeing someone at the time. And I had just happened to come home from work one day, late at night, and here he is sitting at my kitchen table with, roommate I live with and a couple other friends, completely drunk. But I sat down, I had a conversation with him, and ever since it's been like back and forth. I mean, we lost touch for a little bit, But then we actually met back at Kinder Farm Park a little while ago. And ever since then, we've just pretty much been inseparable from that point on. It was a very, very dramatic start. Very dramatic start with him and the things he was into, but I'm hard-headed and he's a pain in the butt. So we made it work somehow.
All right, so I got to ask for clarification. When now I got to ask this. When you met him, you was already in a relationship.
Yes.
All
right. Yeah, he was out and I was in.
Okay, so you was in. So before you said, I'm taking Steve, was there a clean break from the last one?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there was a clean break.
Just so we want to make that clear. I don't want viewers saying, yo, she freaking, he came in and home wrecked the whole thing.
She met me and she went, hey, we done.
Yeah, he jokes about it all the time. Jokes about it all the time. No, the guy I was in a relationship with before, I actually just had met on Tinder or something, which is terrible. But it was, like I said, after I met Steven, had a couple conversations with him, I was more interested in his goofy looking self than who I was with at the time. So I I just cut off what I had and ended up with this goofy one. But yeah, I cut it off pretty quick after I met Steven. And he jokes about it all the time. Never lets me live it down though. So.
Well, shout out to you for being the charmer, but my heart goes out to the guy. I hope you find somebody. God damn. So hope you find somebody. No shade against you, sir. So, Steve, let me ask you a question. You just got in a relationship and stuff like that. What game can you give people that what game can you give people where you took those steps to be in a better situation? What steps did you take? Without getting too personal and incriminating yourself.
What steps did I take to get into a better situation for myself after getting out of a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Tell you the truth, I'm the wrong person to ask because I took all the wrong steps to feel better into getting out of that relationship. I went actually pretty dark for a moment there. So I guess don't do what I did would be probably the best. Yeah, it would probably be the best thing to tell people because I gave up basically for a while there, but actually meeting Kayla made me turn around my life, and I've never been better. Basically,
awesome. That's awesome, though. That's awesome, bro. So. Kayla, what were some of the ways that you spoke life into him as if he was your husband? Let me ask that question.
So it's kind of like the same thing with the marriage question. Did you see it growing up? So where I come from and my background, things like that, there was a lot of hardships and a lot of things that I dealt with that kind of gave me a little bit more insight on what I was kind of walking into. So coming into his life at that point in time and seeing, all the hardships and things he was going through at the time and the personal experiences I had or family that had experiences like that as well, I just tried to be as supportive as I could. And, you should always be supportive, but at the same time, I would say be stern. Because, they do need that support and that, mental boost and help and things like that. But at the same time, there has to be a point where you're you have to cut the shit. You have to turn it around. I'm here for you, but you just have to turn it around. So I was that supportive, turn your shit around person for him. And it worked pretty well so far, but it was definitely a ride. We've been together for a little bit over 2 years, but through the first coming up to a year, it was definitely a battle. But we got through it. He came out a much better person, still a pain in the butt, but a much better person. But it was definitely definitely a ride. And I think that's why we talked about finances and marriage and everything so early, because we were straight, like, to the point with all this, just got to cut the shit. What's going on here? What's the deal?
I feel like that's a good thing to do in any relationship. It's just, if you think that you're going to go somewhere with this person, like, have a future, just cut the shit and get right to the point. Certain things. Excuse me, like the important things.
There are couples out there that are getting caught up with just the perfect image. And when I mean the perfect image, I mean the white picket fence, house, cat, dog, finances through the roof. I have to look a certain way. I have to present myself a certain way and stuff of that nature. People get caught up in that. You guys are very unique. Y'all don't really get caught up in this stuff. Even now, body language, y'all are pretty much chill, really don't. And as many times as I said, hey, if these questions are a little bit too spicy, you let me know. You guys have remained open. Not everybody is at that point that y'all are at. So what do you think is the cause and effect with couples trying to put on this perfect image, and how devastating is that going to be? Something that is not true. We know it's not true because we're all of us are like in our late 20s or 30 at this point, right? Okay. So we know the perfect image is not true. Everybody's got stuff with them. Everybody's got stuff that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, but there are couples that are still put on this perfect facade. What do you say to that? Does that bother? Obviously it bothers everybody because we know it's not true, but how do you generally feel about it?
It's such a social media kind of platform at this point. I mean, the perfect image, like you see from Instagram or Facebook, all these couples that like take these glamorous photos with these big houses. And it's great for people to achieve their goals. But at the same time, it's like, if you're together and you're doing something because you guys look picture perfect together, or because your outfits match, or you wanted the same color walls, you shouldn't base your relationship off of what's going to look best versus what's going to be good for you. And in the long run, what's going to be good for the both of you.
I think people are more worried about what other people think of them nowadays. And believe me, I don't care. She yells at me all the time when we go out to public and stuff like that, and I'm wearing shorts with my high Zelda socks with like weird ass shoes and a hat and some weird shirt. I'm like, I don't care. I'm happy. I think I look bad as fuck, but and she, like I said, I don't care what people think about the way I act, the way I dress, because I'm happy and she knows how I am. So if I'm acting the way I am, then I'm true to myself, and she knows I'm true to myself, and she loves me for who I am. Then there's no reason to. Social media and all that is just, in my opinion, Facebook and social media and everything like that is such a cripple to relationships, to businesses, to basically everything, in my opinion. Because, like, there's been studies saying that how, Facebook, having Facebook accounts and stuff like that has actually increased people's depression because they're not being able to live up to the expectations of other people. And just that alone should just make you not want to try to be such a picture perfect person. Just be yourself. And that's what I've always tried to be. And apparently it worked because I found this one who accepts my weirdness. So
yeah, man, that's pretty dope. Now, let me ask you this. Does it depend on how that person uses their social media? If it's something positive, it's one thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we know there's negative, but so I'm just
definitely
curious.
Very selective. It really depends on the person and who they are and their intentions, really, because like I said, if you're posting these amazing pictures and you guys are happy, that's wonderful. But at the same time, don't on the same social media try to get with other people. or try to, have another account and be someone you're not, or use that account to show who you actually are because you're trying to portray this image. But there's so many accounts that are positive with like different foods or small businesses that are putting themselves out there, or, small clothing companies that are using social media and actually get, all these likes or, things like that to build themselves up. So it's just really how you use it. So
how do y'all feel about couples that don't put themselves on social media, don't put their business on social media, you don't even know if they with somebody on social media? And then there's people that are the opposite. For a fact, where they are, what they're doing, who they're with,
every
all
fight
of that
they
stuff.
get into is on social media.
That too.
In my opinion, people, shit that happens in your relationship is between you and that person. That's how I feel it. You shouldn't be blasting that stuff on Facebook or anything like that, because if you start blasting stuff on Facebook like that, all you're trying to do is either A, get attention, or B, trying to get people on your side instead of the other person's. You want them to attack the other person. And either way, A, it's none of those people's goddamn business. And it's just, I don't know, then you're just being an attention whore, just trying to get more likes or more comments on a fight that has nothing to do with any of these people. So I feel like anytime you're in a situation in your relationship where you're fighting, last thing you should ever do is post on social media or anything like that, because when you do something like that, you're just trying to get attention, and it's just, I think it's stupid. The only real reason why I use Facebook or anything like that is to make people upset and to post memes. That's about it.
I am all for posting funny, goofy pictures of us, or, him, me and his daughter, or like posting if we're like out at some new restaurant or something. I'm that person. Like, if we take a goofy photo and we both look like terrible, it is definitely going on Facebook. But as far as like any other platform, I think the only platform we really use is Facebook.
I use Twitch, but other than that,
yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's just my nerd side.
I look at it like this, right? I cannot tell you countless of times I have found out more about people's relationship just because they put everything on blast. I don't need to see subliminals. I don't need to see revenge tweets. Like, can y'all just stop? Like, I've
had people unfriend me because they were constantly blasting like their boyfriend or something on Facebook, and I would comment like, no one cares, and they would get mad at me. And I'm like, seriously, still no one cares. All you're doing is just trying to be an attention whore. And then they would defriend me because I'm sorry, I'm not used to being like,
it's cool, man.
Yeah, on a platform.
It's cool, man. It's definitely cool. Hey, look, I've had people say worse stuff on this show and cuss people out on the show, so you're fine. This is civil. Yeah, but you're definitely going to get unfriended. You come on somebody's timeline and go, oh, nobody cares. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unfriended.
Like, what do you expect going to happen?
No one cares. Oh, are you saying that I'm blah, blah? Are you agreeing with him? No, I'm saying you just need to shut up. No one cares. No one needs to hear about how he got 6 baby mamas or something.
Man, I don't know who, like, people, and that's another thing. I don't think people really think before they post. I think people just go off impulse and just post whatever they want. As reckless as that is. I think
people overthink as they're posting something.
True. Yeah.
Because they're trying to get that reaction.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So let me ask you this, man. And I'm gonna ask y'all this probably as a couple. What is some advice, some advice you give people out there that are thinking about marriage, but they might be in the middle of handling it for love or for economic reasons? Like, what lasting advice would you give them? based on y'all's experiences?
Let the lady go first.
I guess advice for that kind of thing, like I said, would always be just to do it because you guys want to do it. Don't do it because your mom or your dad's pressuring you to get married, or you ended up realizing that you're pregnant and your family's pressuring you to get married, or, it's for some cultural, religious reason. I mean, if that's what you're used to and that's what you want to do, go for it. But at the same time, if you're not happy, don't spend your entire life trying to be in a situation that you weren't happy in the first place. Don't put yourself in a situation where there was no happiness to begin with. Like I said, coming from personal experience, there wasn't too much that I had really seen growing up that really showed strong marriage. So for me, it's like a goal to find the person and to be able to build that, make that the house, the family, be able to build your own white picket fence. Like, it's the goal to be able to do that with somebody who, is stable, that you love, you want to be with, and that, you financially and every aspect understand. So it's my part.
I think I would just say that find someone. Don't even find someone. Just be yourself and do you, and you'll find that person that accepts you for you, doing something that you enjoy, because the only time you're going to find someone that enjoys the same things as you do is as long as you're doing what you enjoy. You know what I mean? So just be happy and make yourself happy first, and then the person that will love you for you will just come along the way, I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was doing what I wanted to do, and we just kind of ran into each other. I wasn't looking for anything at the time, and I mean, she had somebody else at the time, and I stole her away. Wink, wink.
Home wrecker. Yeah, you a home wrecker for real? No,
yeah. But neither of us were really looking for each other, and we just kind of fell in each other's lap, and she accepts me for who I am, and I absolutely adore her for who she is. So,
well, on that note, I want to thank you guys for being on this episode. I greatly appreciate it. I know I had a bunch of nosy questions, but I'm glad you answered all of them. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in and checking this out. The next episode, I'm going to have a married couple kind of ask them these same questions, and I'm going to leave it to you guys to see if you notice a difference between a couple that is not married yet and a couple that is, and you can make your own assessment from that point. Until next time, everybody, y'all take care.